so that we have the recording. How do you change your name on your phone? Oh, I am not quite sure. I don't know how to change the name on the phone. But does anyone, if anyone in the comments could give some help, someone needs a little bit of assistance on Zoom. Before we get started, I'm going to pull a card and then I'll go ahead and hit my slideshow. But before I do that, I would love for you to introduce yourselves in the chat. So let me know your name, your pronouns, where you're tuning in from, and maybe what you want to learn in this class today or what attracted you to it, because that helps me. And I want to make sure that I give you everything that you need and that you're desiring in this class. So go ahead and hit it in the chat. You also can change your name on your desktop by going to the participants tab, hovering over your name, and then you'll see a little more button and you can rename yourself. And if you want to throw your pronouns in there, that always helps me because I'll stay and answer questions at the end. And I want to make sure that I do not misgender you. Teach me everything. Amazing. Love my clients and want to keep them coming back forever. Oh, yes. Projector magic. It takes a projector to know a projector, Sharona. So I think there's a bunch of projectors in this room. Also, if you want to add your human design into your name, that is sweet too, if that feels relevant and important to you. Cool. Tuning in from San Diego. Great. MG, love it. Desiree, hey, soaking up all the magic so I can better serve in the next year. Oh, I'm so glad that you liked the last two classes, Courtney. Thank you for coming to them. Hi, Crystal. We were voice messaging on Instagram. Susan in Santa Barbara, amazing. Sunikiwe, goddess of Naya. Okay, cool. I see so many people I love. Here for recaps. I love it. Okay, awesome. Great. Well, I'm really happy that you're here. Hey, Taryn. If you are an IWA student or a North Noder, or you've taken PCCL, you can also throw that into the chat. If you're one of my students already and are familiar with the way that I teach and work and want to help your fellow man and womankind and answer questions, you've got lots of helpers. I see lots of familiar faces. So that's great. I'm going to go ahead and pull a card. If this is your first time coming to a class that I've taught, I'm Michelle and I get stage fright. I get very, very nervous. I'm sweating a lot and you can't see my legs, thank God, because I am shaking. So I don't know what it is, but I just get really, really nervous. It's probably because I'm an introvert. And as I always joke, I was a professional dancer so that I would never have to talk in front of people. And yet here I am. So that's that. I pull a card because it helps ground me and remind me that my job is just to deliver information to you. This is about you, not me. So we like to kick it off that way and see what the message is that we're here to listen to. I'm pulling from the Thoth deck today, which is a tarot deck. I'm going to pull two cards, one from the top, one from the bottom. Okay, nice. We'll take it. We've got the Ace of Cups. Ooh, how can I show this to you? I feel like, there we go. No, maybe? Okay. Maybe I need to turn off my screen really, really fast. Do you mind if I turn off my, oh no, I can do it this way. Okay. No, it's not going to happen. All right, it's an Ace of Cups. So that's what you need to know. And then we've also got the Prince of Cups, which looks like this. And I'll really briefly read to you what they mean. But cups in general, feminine energy, and also abundance. And usually creativity, money, all the good things that we like. So let's see where this is coming from. Oop, and I'm getting a little ringing in my ear, which we also love. Okay. So in this deck in particular, and if you are a tarot reader and you're well-versed, feel free to like pop in with your interpretation of the Ace of Cups or the Prince of Cups. I'm going to read from the deck, the book that goes with this deck, because it's very on the nose. Okay. The Ace of Cups, fertility, productiveness, beauty, pleasure, and happiness. This is the root of the powers of water. And you kind of can't see it, but it basically looks like a shell on the outside that's overflowing. The cup is overflowing with light and with I would say love. Hashtag love and light. Just kidding. Okay. And then the Prince of Cups represents the airy part of water. It's a young man whose characteristics are subtlety, being secretive, and craft. An artist whose calm surface masks intense passion, caring intensely for power and wisdom and in their own aims. I also just view this, there's a snake that's in the middle of the cup. And that reminds me of Kundalini energy. So I feel like these are actually really good cards to pull and to have, and are sort of like on the opposite ends of the cup spectrum. And it's interesting that we're talking about that because I'm going to talk a lot about filling up your own cup today. And that's a big part of what retention is, and having being resourced in ourselves. So those are 2 cards, and we're going to get down to business. Oh, pulled the 2 of Cups this morning. Nice. Sam, Ace of Cups, deep, deep self-love and care. I love that. Oh, hey, Melissa. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and dive into my slideshow. Let me present it to you. All right. All right, hold on. I need to move. All right, so today's class is all about retention. If you've already come to the other classes, we are on the 3rd pillar of the 4 pillars of intuitive business. And I'm really excited about it. So let's get into it. Today's plan, we're going to talk about the 4 pillars of intuitive business. Natch, in case you missed the other classes, no big deal. It's all good. I've also got plenty of replays for you. So if you want to learn more about growth and revenue, I've got 2-hour-long classes all about that. Don't worry about it. You're going to be just fine. Then we're going to go over how to set goals for retention and how to think about retention in our life and in our business. Then we're going to talk about building in rest for yourself, which I hope gets you excited, and as opposed to making you want to throw up and run away in the opposite direction, because rest is crucial. Rest is anti-capitalist. Prioritizing rest is anti-capitalist. And I think that that's very important. And then finally, we're going to talk about retention as resource. I love rest. Yes, more naps in 2021. And not because I have not a depression nap, just a regular nap, that's what I would like. So then finally, number 4, we're going to talk about retention as a resource. And that's it. If you're new here, hi, I'm Michelle. Every week I introduce myself with different gifts. So this is what you got this week. I used to be a professional modern dancer, hence the raccoon, and ballet dancer, and that's what my background is in. But I started holisticism a couple of years ago after working in tech for 6 years. And I wanted to create a place that intersected what my practical, pragmatic brain loves and knows, which are facts and data and information and science, with the other things that I cannot help but be called to, which are intuition, magic, mystery, mysticism. I am a Pisces, which is probably why I love all of these things so much. And I also have epilepsy, so hence the brain. And I sometimes hear things. It's part of my seizures or the aura that I get before having a seizure. I hear things, messages, and now I know that's a big part of my own intuitive abilities. And so what we do at holisticism is talk about bridging the gap between the ordinary world and the special world, the regular world that we exist in, that we have to exist in, and using our own intuition and our powers to navigate this space and create something new and create something for us that feels generative and exciting. So I'm also a self-proclaimed witch. I want to show you, I can't show you my altar. I'll take a picture of it. But basically there was a new moon eclipse yesterday. So I hope you all set up your altars. You lit a candle, you poured one out for the ancestors. I've got some red wine, and my ancestors told me I had to make a babka yesterday. So I made a babka and put that on on the altar. So I hope that you treated them. I do love raccoons as well. Thank you, Peggy, for that. And yeah, that's it. That's me in a nutshell, but I'm excited to teach you today. So the 4 pillars of intuitive business that we talk about at holisticism are growth, revenue, retention, and impact. All of these pillars are in relationship with each other all the time. They aren't even really independent of each other. And maybe I should think of a different way to explain that. I think last week I talked about how these pillars are really an ecosystem that are constantly like ebbing and flowing and impacting each other. They're almost like water or like air. So like they take up the space that they need, and they like ebb and flow constantly, and they're always informing each other. And when we think about these 4 areas of our business and we have a sort of bird's eye view over them, I think that we can run our businesses more intuitively and in a more aligned way. So often we're only focusing on things like growth and revenue. And while those things are obviously important because we need them for our businesses to run, they're not the most important things in the world. And if we get stuck on just those 2 areas of our business, we're really missing out on nourishing the type of business and community that we really are here for, right? So today we're talking about retention. And as I said, all 4 of these pillars work together as an ecosystem to support your intuitive business. And they impact and affect each other constantly, and they're ebbing and flowing. There might be some days where you have to prioritize growth. There might be other days where you have to prioritize impact, or maybe days that you're dancing between all 4 of these pillars. But today we're going to talk about revenue. And I'm actually going to go full size and we'll jump in here. So what is retention? Retention is the idea that the theory of retention is basically creating something that supports our longevity. We do not value longevity in this society. We're like 30 under 30. How can you make as much money as possible in 24 hours? How can you like blow through people and relationships and get what you need and then like fuck the rest? And instant gratification. We love to see it. Amazon, Prime, shipping, like that is what we are primed for right now. And that's not necessarily wrong. Like sometimes instant gratification is great, but we want to think about how we can support ourselves to be here for the long haul. Because if you're listening to this class, if you're here now, I have a feeling that you're a healer or a practitioner or a helper or a visionary or all of the above. And it's so important for your medicine and the work that you're here to do on this planet that you survive, that you're here for the long haul, that you don't burn out after 1 or 2 or 5 years. Because if you do, you are not only stealing from the people that you potentially could help in the future, but you're also forgetting about yourself. And that's not why we're here. Like, we're not here to just serve others. We're here also to fulfill our soul's incarnation. That's my perspective. So I support longevity and your longevity. And that's what retention does. And even from just a strictly business perspective, if we're thinking about retention in our business, we're thinking beyond the initial transaction that a consumer has with us. We're thinking beyond that first sale, which is great. We all love to make a sale, but what comes after that, right? So thinking about retention or viewing your business through the perspective of retention can feel really expansive, because as opposed to thinking of like, how do I get that next sale? How do I like acquire my next consumer? We're actually like sitting with the person or the people that we're working with, that are with our community, and we're creating a long-term relationship with them. So the theory of retention is to support our longevity. It also is for us to think about how we can rest and recover and recuperate in our lives and our businesses, so that we're not always putting out. So we're not always, that didn't mean to be a sex joke, but okay, we'll take that. So that we're not always accumulating and trying to bring in more, right? That we have some downtime. We have some time to rest. We don't always need to be on. We are human beings. We are not robots and we're not computers. We are allowed to have downtime and off time, and we should. That is very important for the energy of the work that we do. And I like to think of the 4 different pillars of business as different seasons. So growth would be spring, summer would be revenue, and fall to me is retention. It's where we kind of get to slow down, we get to go internal, we get to think, and we still are like reaping the rewards and the benefits of summer and spring, but we're getting ready for winter, right? So that's the theory around retention. So what does that practically mean in your business? For me, I like to look at this as, how are you creating a regenerative or even a generative business? A business that is life-giving. That is what generative means, right? To bring life. And if we are regenerative, it means that we can continue to bring life and source and energy into our work, so that we are constantly refilling, and we're in a cycle. I keep doing this, like you can see me, like, but you can't. Sorry. I'm very Italian and I like to talk with my hands. So when we're thinking about retention in our business, what we want to like sort of hold in our mind is, how am I serving my customer and providing them value over and over and over again? Beyond that first transaction, beyond that first service, beyond that them buying a product from us. How can I continue to support them and meet their needs even if I don't have another product to offer them? How can I add value to their lives? How can I continue to support their growth? Because that's probably what you're doing with whatever product or service that you have, right? You're trying to support someone's humanity. So how can we do that? And then finally, what does the life cycle of your client look like? What is the lifetime value of your client for you and your business? If you have a product-based business, you probably know what an LTV or a lifetime value is. That's the amount of money that a consumer will spend with you over the period of time that they work with your company. So for example, with this tarot deck, because this person sells tarot decks, I probably don't need to buy a tarot deck every month, right? Especially not the same one. I might rebuy this tarot deck if I like break it. I don't know how I could do that. If I set it on fire, if I give it away to a friend or something happens, right? So the lifetime value of me as a consumer, if this is the only product in that person's arsenal, is low. It's the cost of this product because I'm not going to buy it again. As opposed to, sorry, let me get my props. As opposed to this tincture, right? I have a tincture here. And as soon as I'm out of this tincture, and if I like it, then I'm going to want to buy it again. And I'll probably continue to buy it if it continues to work for me. So the lifetime value for me with this product would be however long, however many times I come back and buy that product over and over and over again. Let's say I really like this, it takes me a month to get through it, and I want to use it for 6 months. Then, and let's say the product costs, I'm really bad at math, let's say the product costs $10, right? That means I'm going to be spending $10 every month for 6 months, which means the lifetime value. And then I decide after 6 months, I don't want to use the product anymore. It doesn't work for me, blah, blah, blah. That means my lifetime value for this product would be $60. So that helps us understand as business owners, first off, how long someone's going to be with us, what the lifetime value of the investment of the consumer is going to be in what we do. And that can help us understand a couple of things. First, how we can start to think about acquiring that customer and how much money we can spend to acquire them. So if you're running things like ads, like paid media, or even if you're investing in making free products, things like classes like this or lead magnets, you can start to do the math of how much money can I spend in order to invest back into this person and still make a profit, still help my business run. So that's a super high level perspective on lifetime value. We could have an entire, honestly, semester-long class on lifetime value, but it's something to think about in your business. What is the average lifetime value of your customer? Are they with you for one single product or one single product? Are they with you for 6 months? Are they with you for a year, 2 years, 10 years? Think about products in your own life that you've been a consumer of for a really long time. For me, it's Gmail, right? I've been a consumer of Gmail for probably 10 years at this point. That is, they have a really long lifetime value of a customer, as opposed to like, I'm trying to think of something that I just opted out of recently. I joined a fitness subscription that I really liked, but I didn't have enough time to use it. And it's online and it didn't work for me. It only worked for 3 months. So the lifetime value of me for that product is only 3 months. And that can tell us a lot about either where we could be better if we want to increase our lifetime value of our customers, or just honestly acknowledging, all right, we probably have this person for 3 months. Let's give them the best 3 months ever and make sure that we're meeting their needs. So, oh, I see a question. What you mean, Michelle? It feels like I'm having a hard time holding multiple pillars in my brain at the same time. Oh, okay. You're asking about other Michelle. Okay, great. Maybe I can answer this right now. Sorry, guys. I can keep working on product, or I can try to do a little bit of, okay, yeah. Actually, I think that this, Michelle, great name, by the way, I think that this class will be helpful because retention is something that we can hold in our minds when we're thinking about all of these things. So finally, how do we think about retention as sort of a value in our personal life? Well, for me, that's creating a regenerative life, a life that I don't feel burnt out from, that I'm able to have rest in. So how are you nourishing yourself, and how are you prepping yourself for longevity in whatever it is that you do, from your relationships to how you show up for your work to, like, honestly, your own health and well-being? When you, how might you translate the life cycle question? Oh yeah, that's a great question, Sam. So if someone is seeing you for a one-on-one session, like, let's use the example of a tarot card reader. I'm going to turn my slides off for a second while I talk to you. Let's use the example of like someone who's reading tarot. If we have a singular product, and my IWA members, you will know all about this, so feel free to jump in with answers in the chat. But if we have a one-off product or a one-off service that we're offering, that means that the lifetime value typically of our consumer is that one session. In order to create a business that has higher retention, we need to offer products or services that are built for retention. And that can mean creating things like subscriptions or memberships or even packages. For example, I work with an astrologer, and I used to only see my astrologer like on my birthday or when I was going through a breakup, which wasn't that often, right? It would be like maybe once a year, maybe every other year. And I recently, over the last couple of years, have started seeing my astrologer quarterly, because I want to spend more time with her and learn a little bit more about what's coming up for me, and use astrology in a way that actually feels supportive to my work as opposed to like a party trick. So my lifetime value as a customer of my astrologer is probably at this point 2 years, because I can continue to come back every quarter. So you can think about lifetime value as how often people come back to you. That's also what retention is, right? And we can not just like cross our fingers and hope that people come back to us. We can actually put the odds in our favor by creating structures that allow people to continue to come back to us, that increase their lifetime value, because we continue to offer value to them in terms of a service or of a product. Does that make sense, Sam? Just shoot an emoji in the chat so I know that you get it, or that, yeah, okay, great, cool. Fabulous. All right, excuse me. I'm sweating so much, I'm so nervous, but it's okay. I really love talking about this stuff, so we're gonna just keep going. All right, so how do we set retention goals? Because that's what all these classes are all about, right? Setting ourselves up for 2021, growth, revenue, retention, impact. How do we think about them in our business? And sort of like from a high level, and also like in the weeds, how do we like get dirty with them? For me, thinking about retention means, how are you developing a long-term relationship with your customer? I think that we all like want to be in it for the long haul, right? We don't want to have relationships with our customers or our clients or our communities where we're like one and done, where we service them one time, we see them one time, we connect with them like deeply one time, and then we never think about each other again. At least that's not the type of business that I want, or the community that I want. If you want that, that's totally fine, but it's a different level of responsibility to engage in someone in an ongoing relationship way, to go deeper with them. And I think that it's a responsibility that you're up to. This is also, when we think about retention, it is in many ways an anti-capitalist perspective, because we are not viewing people as like disposable, as single service, as something that we can like take and throw away and like use until we're done using them and then never think about them again. We need to stop treating people like they are replaceable and like they are simply a transaction. I think we need to start creating real relationships with people. And that could mean that the lifetime value of your consumer is not that high, but you're still able to offer them value and service and a place to connect forever and ever, beyond them being your customer or client. That's my goal. I know that not everyone's going to stay with us forever, and I'm sure people will surpass me and my knowledge when it comes to intuitive business. And I hope that that doesn't mean that that's the end of our relationship. I hope that we continue to be in community beyond that, because that's what I want to build, and that's what I want my legacy to be. So ask yourself, how can you offer support beyond that first transaction with your consumer? Of course, this can come in other ways, through your product or through your service, But beyond that, maybe if you were just in relationship, what might that look like? What resources or education might you be able to provide to them for free through things like social media or your blog or podcast or even via a weekly email? These are the things that retain our relationship and deepen our relationship in an ongoing way. The next thing I want you to think about is what you need to keep going. Because if you burn out, dude, like that's it. It's like zilch. You can't do this again. You can try, but like, I don't know, you don't get a do-over with life. I joke with my partner because he has brain cancer and he got brain cancer at a pretty young age that like, I'm like, you need to stay around. Like you need to continue living, because a big reason why he thinks he got sick is because he burnt out with his job and he was just like ready to be done. And that's the extreme of what can happen. But it can happen. And I think that, I mean, you need to take care of yourself, and you have a responsibility to take care of yourself, not only so that you're here for the long run, but also so you can show up and do your work to the fullest as you possibly can. So what do you need? What systems do you need? What help or support do you need? Do you need other people? Do you need some organization in your life? Do you need rest? Do you need to build rest into your actual upcoming year? I know that I need to, and I will tell you how I do that in just a few slides. So think about what it is that you need to keep going. For me, when I think about retention for the next year, I know that I need to keep going. I need to be inspired. I need to have time to create and make things. I need to have a really awesome team who understands me and who gets me. And I need to have other people outside of my team who are supporting me. I need to like go to therapy. I need to go to the doctor. I need to see someone. I need to like join a community that helps me with my hormonal health to make sure that I'm like keeping my shit tight, right? These are all things that contribute to retention, and they don't have to just be business goals. They can be personal goals too. And then finally, our question every single week is, what are your anti-goals? What are your non-negotiables when it comes to retention? What are you not willing to do? Maybe you're not willing to make an endless carousel of products. Maybe you're only willing to make 3 products, and that's what you want to do. And that's how you want to run your business. And you need to figure out retention around that. Maybe you're not willing to not take weekends off. So maybe I really like to hear people's non-negotiables. What are your non-negotiables or your anti-goals for the next year? If you could pop them into the chat for me, especially when it comes to retention and supporting yourself, or even supporting your community. What are you not here for? If you could pop it into the chat, I would love to see it. Mia says more fun and play. Yes, that is so, so, so important. I think another non-negotiable, not willing to have at least 2 days off. Whoo, yeah, babe. I like that. No unpaid labors. Say it louder for the people in the back. Yes. Having set days. I see clients rather than seeing 1 or 2 every day. Yeah, dude. Running your own calendar and schedule, not being at the beck and call of other people. I don't want to sell constantly. Girl, me neither. I do not want that. And I need rest and space to create better stuff. That is exactly right. No longer being on call for crisis situations 24/7. Oh yeah, that'll burn you out fast. Screen detox. Yes, yes, yes. Not being on social media constantly. Yes. Not doing things that I don't enjoy while I do it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love that. Flexibility to parent first. Woo! Melissa, this is on my coming up in my next 2 or 3 years of a big goal that I have. I love that. I'm going to have to take notes from you. Ashley, not willing to give up regular movement practices and taking off 2 days a week. Yep. Oh, not needing to be reactive 100% of the time. It's like you're reading my mind. More time to create and do what I love. Not taking on others' responsibilities. Not setting unrealistic goals. Yeah, dude. Lauren, that's a really, really good one. Not willing to pay others when I'm not paying myself. Casey, yep. Not hating on myself. These are really great. So sometimes it helps us to define what we are and what we want by defining what we don't want. And if you're ever feeling stuck, just like write an I am not manifesto, or like what I don't want this project to be, because that can help scope out the parameters of what it is that you do want to create, sometimes much more quickly than being like blue sky, you can make anything that you want. So let's take a moment to start brainstorming some ideas for how we want to see retention in our business and in our life in 2021. I recommend having 3 to 4 goals for every pillar for the year. So that's like 12 goals total. And you don't have to, if you're like really reaching, you don't need to. You can start with 1 or 2. So what I want you to think about are, and you don't have to have the answer right now. Actually, I'm really bad at answering on the spot. So I feel you if anyone's like, I'm getting nervous. But I want you to think about how you can build retention into your business. Is there a way that you can support your clients beyond the one session or the one product that you use to support them right now? What are they going to need? And we'll talk a little bit more about this in a second. How could you increase the LTV, the lifetime value of your customers? But also, how can you increase your own lifetime value, the value that you give to your clients and your consumers? And then finally, ask yourself, what do I need to feel supportive and to live a life that is generative and regenerative? So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to answer those questions or to just jot down some ideas. There's no wrong answers. The binary does not exist. So just jot down what's coming. Can you write them in the chat, please? Yeah, I will. I'll do one better. I'll actually, I feel like I have a slide about this. I'm going to just go back to our retention goals. So you can use these. And I will type here, what products and one of the, you can definitely keep writing and keep thinking. One of the things that is so important about retention that if you've taken class with me before in IWA or you're in the North Node, you know that this is my jam. Retention is something that we don't often prioritize because we're thinking about growth all the time. So we often think that the answer to our problems when it comes to our business is acquiring more customers, meaning we pull more customers in, new customers who have never met us before. And while that could be a way to solve our problem, it's not the only way to solve our problem. It's much more expensive to acquire brand new customers, either through social media or through paying influencers or by doing paid marketing. It's much more expensive to get someone's to convert for the first time than it is to have a customer who's already worked with you, who already knows you, who already likes you, who already trusts you, for them to come back. They're already part of your community. So if we're thinking about this from like sort of just a pragmatic perspective, but also an energetic perspective, it takes more energy for me to take a stranger that I meet on the street and convince them to know me, to like me, to trust me, to want to work with me, right? It's going to take a lot more of my capacity, as opposed to my friend who I see and I say, oh yeah, we know each other really well. Do you want to come in like for this class that I'm teaching? Of course they're going to say yes. They already know me, right? So when it comes to retention, we don't often think about the people that we already have used our energy and our time and our money to acquire, right? That are already in our community, who we've already serviced. We think of them as like, we've already used them, we've already gone past them. When in reality, there's so much more opportunity for us to actually like deepen our relationship with them and double down on how we can help them and take a second glance at them and say, oh, this product worked for you. Awesome. How can I continue to help you in the future? Because you're already here. And like, I already like you and you already like me. And that's so much easier for both of us, right? And that's so much more generative for both of us. And we've already consented to be in relationship with each other. So how can I continue to serve you in a way that feels authentic and that I know I can help you, if that's possible? And if it's not, that's okay. But so much of the time we think that the answer to our prayers is like more clients, more new clients, when in reality we're sitting on a gold mine of people. We're sitting on all this potential energy of customers and clients that we've already worked with, and we're completely ignoring the value there and the hard-earned relationship that we've created with them. So we want more rest, right? We want to reserve our energy. And when we need to acquire new people, great, we totally can. That's fine. We know how to do that. We know how to grow things. But why would I look past the people who I've already created relationships with in order to like find those bright, shiny new clients and customers? We can do both. We can hold both together, right? So it doesn't have to be all one or all the other. We can have amazing growth goals, and we can also have goals to continue to retain the customers and clients we do have and continue to serve them. So if we're thinking about this from a rep, we'll go into this in a second. I want to make sure that I'm not getting ahead of myself. Okay. I'm seeing good chat comments. Great. Love this. Okay, cool. So I'm going to move on. Next thing, how do we like actually, like this all sounds great in theory, but how do we build it into our lives and build it into our businesses? How do we build in rest? How do we build in retention? How do we build in support? Rest is essential. Burnout is not sexy and it's not fucking cool. And it doesn't make you smarter or a better business owner or a harder worker. It just means that like you have diminished yourself, and there's nothing to feel bad about. Honestly, I'm sorry if I made anyone feel bad for getting burnt out, because I've been burnt out like so many times, and it's not fun, and we deserve better. We deserve better. And our future clients and our friends and our family and the people that love us also deserve better. They deserve the full version of us, not the shadow version of us that continues to exist beyond burnout. So last week we talked about the natural ebbs and flows of your energetic blueprint and how to use your own energy in your business when it comes to putting out products or services. You don't have to, as a gentle reminder, you don't have to make the same amount of money every single month. You can have a business where you have super high months and super low months and everything in between, depending on what your energy looks like. If you're someone like me who has some really, really high days and then some like, I need to be in a cave days, that could work really well for you. Maybe you're a little more consistent and you want to have consistent revenue that kind of looks like this. That's fine too. You can design the business of your dreams and you can match your energy to that business or vice versa. So I think when it comes to retention in our lives and how we can support ourselves, you need to intentionally build rest into your goals. And the way that I do that is by scheduling retreats for myself and for my team. I schedule in downtime, I schedule in down months, and schedule in playtime. I call it lady lair time. I love that. Yes. And if you're experiencing burnout right now, like I feel you on that. And it sucks. And you'll come back to yourself, but you can't. Let me replace that thought. You can do anything. Like you could operate on burnout. It's just not fun. And like, I want to do shit that's fucking fun. I'm tired of doing shit that's not fun. So I don't want to run a business on burnout. It's not fun to me or actually that interesting anymore. It was very interesting at a certain time of my life. It's not that interesting anymore. So if you feel that way, I feel you, and I want to help you not burn out, because burnout fucking sucks. And you're way too important to burn out and to like lose sight on your vision and your purpose. Yeah, you are. So as an example, I have a very small team of 3 other people who are all part-time. And that means that I wear a lot of hats in this business because I've been running my business for the last 3.5 years. I just really like this gift. So I need to schedule in because I do lots of things, right? I do the bookkeeping. Well, I have an accountant who helps me, but I schedule my meetings with her every single month because I build most of our products myself, because I do all of our marketing, because I am literally writing copy while also meeting with clients and doing biz dev. I need downtime. I need time for my brain to reset and take a bath and just like luxuriate and not be in the day-to-day stuff, because I know that I need time for deep work in order to create really innovative, creative solutions for my community and to actually listen to what my community needs and what I need. So I know that I need to slow down. That's really important for me. That might not be the same for you, but that's how I find more innovation, creation, and how I can make things that are way more radical. I'm not a very radical person when I'm tired and burnt out. I'm actually quite boring. But if I've got a good, 12 hours of sleep in me, man, I'm ready to like burn down all the institutions. So in my goals for retention, every year I build in a twice yearly retreat where I go either to the desert or somewhere close by. I don't go very far. And I pretty much turn off my phone. I tell my husband that I love him and that I don't want to talk to him or see his face. And then I cancel all my meetings for the next 2 or 3 days. And I just put my head down and I read and I do some work and I take baths and I listen to what I need and I do research. And sometimes I get in the weeds and I actually make things and create things. But most of the time, I'm just letting myself unwind on my own time, on my own terms, without anyone to answer to. And I think it's really important to break up your normal routine to sort of get in these spaces. That's a principle of deep work. If you want to learn more about deep work, check out Cal Newport's book on it, because he goes into the psychology and the neuroscience around why deep work is so important for us and why we need that reset, or we need to step away from our day-to-day routines in order to dive deeper on what it is that we're here to do. And what's the best way to structure a retreat for just you? We actually, if you're in the North Node, there's a whole module on this. But I would say that, like, super high level, you're going to want to think about what is it that you need in that moment. Most of the time, we need a little bit of structure as to like what's coming in the future, because we tend to, in our business, be very much in the day-to-day of like, let me put out this fire that's happening right now. So we need some spaciousness to see what's coming up. So we want to get like, we want to start thinking about like 3 months out, 6 months out, a year out. What could get created here? What could this look like? And then I like to create time to like just research and dive deep, because I'm a projector and that's what I love to do. But it depends on your energy and what you need. I also like always do witch shit, like 100% of the time. I'm like making essences in the desert. I'm like lighting candles and making the fire alarm go off in an Airbnb. It's great. So I want you to think, if you are feeling maybe a little resistant to this idea of resting and adding in time in your life to rest, you're getting paid to rest. You can't do your work. You can't make revenue. You can't grow your business. You can't retain your customers if you don't exist, if your business doesn't continue to exist, if you burn out. So it might help you in this capitalist productive society to reframe rest as something that you're getting paid to do. So when you take half a day off and you go sit in the park with a mask on and read a book and enjoy a coffee in the middle of the week, you're getting paid to do that. You are paying yourself to do that, because you'll be better for it. You'll be more creative and innovative and visionary if you take that time to nurture yourself. So what might some of your goals look like in 2021 if you thought about your rest as something that got you paid? Because it does. And that isn't the reason that we should rest. But for some of us who have been so inculcated in productivity culture and capitalism culture, we have to start thinking about rest in that way. You can also think of rest as a way to advocate for yourself and to fight the man. I feel like you should check out Nap Ministry if you want to read more about that. But rest is activism. So yes, that's my unpopular opinion about rest. And you're happy to disagree with me. Nap Ministry is amazing. Sometimes I feel like I'm addicted to productivity. Yeah, that's because we live in a society that tells us our value is directly correlated to how productive we are on a day-to-day basis, when in reality, you're invaluable, regardless of what you create and put out into the world, regardless of what you get, what you check off your to-do list. You are invaluable when you are like laying in your bed, just vegging out. Like, that's it. You're providing value to the world because you're here and you're being. That's my perspective. But it's hard because everything in the world tells us the opposite. So I wonder, something that I think about, and when I'm thinking about my own retention goals, is instead of spending most of my time on growth, which is where so many businesses operate from and why we get burnt out, because we're constantly trying to accumulate and we're putting a lot of energy into getting new people, being bright and shiny and impressive for them. It's exhausting and draining. What if instead of spending most of our energy on growth and impressing strangers, we actually reoriented some of our energy, some of our resource, some of our capital to retention practices and retention products and services, to helping ourselves and resourcing ourselves while also servicing the people who are already part of our community? What might that look like? And you can pop into the chat or you can just think on that, because I know that this isn't exactly a quick answer, and it might be a left turn from how you're used to thinking about your business. Okay, I'm going to keep going. So here are 4 questions that I ask myself when I'm thinking about retention goals. First, what is the problem that might come from my consumer next? Like, if I've helped them with an Akashic Records reading, right? And we did an Akashic Records reading about their work, and I delivered so much valuable information to them about their next potential career. What is it that they're going to need help with next? Are they going to need help writing a new resume? Are they going to need help finding their own confidence when it comes to this new career path that they're on? Are they going to need help leaving their old job? And from where can I give? Where am I well resourced? Where am I well educated? What experience or expertise do I have that can continue to support them on that next step? This is what really genius product creators or product innovators are incredible at. They take something like an iPhone, right? And they're like, this is something that you need. That's amazing. And then they think about, well, once this person is obsessed with this iPhone, what else are they going to need in their life in order to honestly, like, solve for the problem that the iPhone might have created? Maybe they're going to need a much better computer. Maybe they're going to need a better organization system. Maybe they're going to need a phone case so that they don't continue to drop their phone and break it. Maybe they're going to need, maybe they're going to need a way to get off their phone because they're addicted to it. So that's kind of the evil side of thinking about retention or LTV of your clients. But ask what problem is going to come for them next. Now that you've helped them solve a problem or get unstuck, what might they come into? What's the next thing on their path? And is there a way that you can help them avoid that problem or find a solution to that problem? It's also okay if you can't. That's all right. Just think about it for yourself. The next thing that we want to think about is, how can I help with implementation of the solution that I've provided? Think about whenever you work with a coach or a therapist or someone who you really trust, who you go to answer a problem, right? And they walk you through it. They give you all the information that you need. They're like, okay, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And you're like, great, perfect. I know exactly what to say next time I talk to my narcissistic ex. And inevitably you go back to your therapist and you're like, that was great advice, but I didn't really follow any of it. Or like, how do I do it in real life? Like, I'm great on paper, but how does it actually work in the real world? So something that if you have a service-based business, this might be helpful for you, because usually with service-based businesses, we're telling people or teaching people how to solve a problem for themselves, right? We're giving them tools that they can implement in their lives. But the real help that they need is like implementing those tools day to day. And when they know intellectually how to solve the problem, but they don't always know how to practice it and make it part of their lives. So think about how you can continue to help someone with implementation of the tools or the ideas that you've delivered to them. For some of you, this might look like doing one-on-one services and then having some sort of membership where after your clients have worked with you one-on-one, they just like have little check-ins with you, or they have a community that keeps them accountable, or they have a community where they can, type in and say, hey, I had that weird run-in with my ex. Here's how it went. Here's how I handled it. What would you have done? Or what's your advice? All of these things can help people in the long run, and they don't have to be really expensive products or services, but they can add so much value to your individual clients and to the people that you're helping. The next thing that you want to think about, this is reversed, so this is hard for me, is what is a reasonable lifetime value of this customer? So it might not, what might be reasonable for me with this product is a 6-month lifetime value. That might be all that I really need this for, right? Maybe this is, let's say that this is an adaptogen. I probably only need to really be reasonably taking this for like 6 weeks, and then I should cool it, and then I can maybe try it again in a couple months, right? A reasonable lifetime value would not be 10 years, because that would actually be detrimental to me. And same thing with your customers. Your customers are not always going to be with you for the rest of their lives. And they shouldn't be sometimes. I don't want to see my therapist for the rest of my life. I would like to reach the point where I grow out of them, or I move on to somebody else, or where I've graduated, right? And I know how to like take care of myself because I've learned whatever it is that I need to learn from that person. So ask yourself, what would be reasonable? Can you reasonably expect that you're going to work with someone for a year? Or maybe it's more reasonable to expect that you're going to work with them for a quarter. And how can you meet them and match them with that energy? And then finally, another way to improve our retention or to think about retention goals is there we go. How can I improve my service and care? How can I improve the way that I am serving my customers? And that just comes down to client success and customer service and really showing up for people, because that can greatly increase your lifetime value. If we look at Zappos, such a great example of a company that prioritizes customer service, that there are a million places we could buy shoes, right? There are so many places we could buy shoes, even that are better than Zappos, but their customer service is so good that many of us continue to come back and become lifetime customers. Or if anyone has a dog out there, Chewy has the best service ever. I cannot tell you how many times I ordered the wrong fucking dog food and it was my fault. And I called them and they were like, don't worry about it. We gave you a refund. We're sending a new bag. Because of that, I will go, even though I live down the street from a Petco, I'm always going to use Chewy as the place that I order Bonnie's dog toys and treats, because their customer service is that good. So you can think about all of these elements when it comes to retention, and you don't have to hit all of them. You don't have to make a new product. You don't have to create a new solution for people to implement. You can just really up your customer service game, maybe hire someone to help you, or think about what your users might need and how you can go above and beyond in servicing them. And that can help with your retention in the long run. Okay, so LTV prong, third question on the slide. Is that why product becomes relevant along or post service offering? I don't know if I understand your question, but I think what you're asking, if you could reframe it, that would be helpful for me, because it's not computing in my brain for some reason. It has nothing to do with you. But yeah, I mean, like, we want to think about, let me think of a good example. Perhaps like your college would be a good example, right? Of the lifetime value that they can expect from you. Reasonably, we can expect that most people will spend 4 years in their college, and that is about the amount of time that they're going to spend money paying for university. And there are some people that will be alumni and that will give back to their university, but most of us have a reasonable lifetime value of 4 years. Now, if we wanted to like go back and get our master's, that would look a little bit different. And then that might actually end up impacting our LTV in terms of what we look like as alumni and how we continue to support that private institution. But if I was a university and I wanted to increase the lifetime value from 4 years to 10 years, then I would probably create programs or structures that really supported my, BA students, my undergrad students, and incentivized or added a lot of value to them for higher education, like postgraduate learning. Maybe like I would make a program where it would be really easy to get your MFA and your PhD at the same time, as opposed to like having to jump through lots of hoops in order to do both, or making it even more inexpensive for them if they're an alumni of the college or university. So that is I don't know why I picked school as an example, but okay, imagine you do one-on-one sessions and then you're like, cool, what can I offer my client more? Are you thinking, well, perhaps an app or membership or merch? Yeah, definitely. You could think of all of those things, right? I also would think that if you're doing one-on-one sessions, one of the best ways to increase your LTV or just to increase your retention is to not just offer one-on-one sessions, right? To not just offer a la carte things, to offer something that's programmatic, that is actually a curriculum that you take people through on a transformation. Because there's a lot of value that can be given in a one-on-one experience, but really most of the time, in my opinion, when people are coming to you for a service, they're coming to you for some sort of transformation. And transformation typically doesn't happen in 1 hour. It happens over time. And if we think about it just from that perspective of what it takes in order to transform someone or to help someone experience a transformation in themselves, we need to set them up for success to do that. So that could look so many different ways, right? That could look like you have a one-on-one service that you offer them, and then you give them a workbook that they do, and that helps them complete the transformation process with implementation. It could mean that instead of doing one-on-one sessions, you offer 4 sessions to that person, because that's how you can help them walk through this experience of transformation that they go through. It could mean that you have a one-on-one session and then they join a membership community or a subscription of you where they get to check in with you every single month. And so they've done that one like early session that's super long and meaty and like gets to the root of it. And then they do regular little check-ins with you for implementation of the work. So you can do so many different things. There are so many different ways to build that. And if you didn't want to just offer a service, of course, you could build an app. That would be amazing. You could write a book, right? That would be a way to retain people and to continue to help them with implementation over time. You could make, I don't know, other products. You could make mugs if you wanted to. Like, you can do anything that you want. Really, the sky's the limit, as long as you're offering value to your users and you're actually helping them move forward, right? Because the point isn't to just like squeeze the juice out of people. At least not to me. Like, that's not the point to me. I don't want to just like consume. I want to give back and actually help people continue to experience the transformation that they want to experience. Okay. All right, cool. All right. So let's recap this bad boy. Oh my gosh. This is probably the first time I'm ever going to get to the end of my presentation in just an hour. So happy, so blessed. All right, so let's talk about retention. When you're creating your retention goals, ask yourself, how does this impact the other aspects of your business? So if you're thinking about retention, how is that going to impact your growth goals? Because retention impacts our revenue, right? If we're able to retain our customers over time, then our revenue is going to increase, which means if your revenue is increasing, you don't need to think as much about growth because you're not just getting revenue from growth, right? So that's kind of cool. That's going to impact some things. So if one of your big goals next year was revenue, instead of focusing just on growth and acquiring new users, maybe you double down on retention. And that's the way that you reach your revenue goal. So less focus on growth, and maybe what are you thinking about in terms of your impact and how you're creating a regenerative process or structure or system for yourself. And what does that look like? What's the ripple effect outward from you? That's going to be what we talk about on impact next week. Ask yourself what you can help with. How can you help your customers with implementation of the ideas, concepts, frameworks that you've already given them? How can you help beyond what you're already doing when it comes to care and customer service? And how can you predict what your customer or your user might need next? What is their next pain point that they're going to experience? Oh, you help them solve a problem? Great. What's the next problem that they're going to have? And is it possible that you can help them solve that problem too? And then finally, remember that you're getting paid to rest and you're paying yourself to rest. So I think I said this a couple weeks ago, but we're like not going to accidentally make our dreams come true in 2021. Or like, we're not going to accidentally be successful. We're going to be successful because we've planned for it and we like strategized it and we dreamed it up and we created a spell for it by sitting here and like being in community and writing these ideas down. It's no accident. It is very intentional. And same thing with your rest, right? And same thing with burnout. To be honest with you, burnout is intentional. So how can we be intentional about our rest? How can we not just like say that we're going to somehow, we're going to figure it out and like push it to the wayside? How can we be really thoughtful about planning and building rest and regeneration into our business and offering ourselves that respect, the people who work with us that respect, and also our customers and clients? We are sending that energy their way too. We are a model for them, and what they should be able to provide for themselves, and how honestly, like, they can live their lives too. Okay. Great. So that's all I have for you today. These are the 4 pillars, and I've taught 3 classes already: growth, revenue, and obviously retention, because you're here. And next week I'm talking about impact, and I will be completely transparent. I do not run a nonprofit business. I run a for-profit business, and I think that impact is something that I'm definitely not perfect at, but it's something that I think about in my business and I want to think about as a pillar of what we do. So we're going to walk through impact next week. It'll be a little bit different than the last 3 classes because it's a little bit more, we'll be sharing a little bit more and co-creating together. So I hope that you're able to join for that. I'll share some things I've learned and a lot of big mistakes that I made this year from an impact perspective, and also what we're doing next year. And I'd love to hear what you're doing in creating, because I think that that's the best way for us to learn. Yes, the replays are on YouTube, but I will drop them into the chat. And thanks for coming. So now, are there any questions that I can answer? Please pop them into the chat or stay a while and you can just talk to me. That's cool too. My pleasure. Thanks for joining, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and pop onto YouTube and get the links for you. But what questions do you have? Pop them into the chat, raise your hand, unmute yourself. Let me plug in my computer so we don't die, because that would suck. Okay. So I'm going to drop the link to growth right here. And drop the link to revenue. Please. Here. And I'm also teaching a class on Thursday with Amanda Chase from Ocean Creative. And we'll be talking a little bit about these 4 pillars, but we'll be talking about creating a vision for 2021 for creativity and abundance, because she focuses on helping people with creativity. So if you want to come to that, that'll be really fun. And I made a sweet little Notion template if you want to organize your life. And my North Noders, you get a special template this Friday. So be on the lookout for that. And, oh, great question, Carrie. How do we join IWA, the North Node? IWA only opens once a year. Boner killer, but it opens in the fall. We have a couple people in IWA who are in this class, so they can maybe jump in and say if I hope they enjoyed it. And you can join the North Node waitlist right there at that link, holisticism.com/north-node, and you'll be the first one to know. It goes live on the 28th, and it's only open for a couple days. It's very exciting, and we have some great North Noders in here. Oh, you guys are the best. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions now. Oh. Okay. Lexi. Hi, Lexi. Oh, it's so good to see you. What can I offer in a community group that doesn't require a lot of my time? That depends. I mean, I have to turn off this GIF or else I'm just going to laugh at it for an hour. You are responsible for setting up your products in a way that, like, you create your products and how much time and energy you want to invest in them. So if you want to have a community that you're only in once a month, say that. Build those boundaries, baby. Say, okay, here's this community. I made it for you. I will be here one Friday a month. You can get all your questions answered from me on that day. And in the meantime, be homies and be best friends with each other. Great. You can totally do that. That would be awesome. You could even, if you didn't want to have that added element or stress of having like a community group on something like Mighty Networks or Facebook groups or something else, there's so many different platforms you can use. You could just have like a regular standing appointment where you say, all right, I have my like open office hours one Friday a month. Here's the calendar. Sign up for them. Would love to see you there. Bing, bang, boom. Like that can be it. If you wanted to, you could even create something like I'm going to do 4 20-minute calls with 4 people and then publish them on YouTube or publish them on IGTV stories. That's not a thing. IGTV, or publish them as a podcast, right? There are so many ways that you could do that. So I think decide how much time you want to invest and what is reasonable for you and that's not going to deplete you, and do that. And then you can always add on more. You can always add more value in lots of other ways. You can always show up for your people. Like you can surprise and delight them in different ways. Under promise, over deliver as much as you can. And that would be my recommendation. That's what we try to do. We don't always succeed, but that's what we try. I hope that helps, Lexi. But yeah, how can we also think about retention while focusing on growth? I think that if you're thinking about both and you want to think about them equally, great, do it. You can. Think about how you're going to serve the people that you're already helping and keep them around and get them to love on you forever or for however long that you want. And also what is going to attract those new clients in who are going to be the type of clients that you can retain for a long time. You can do both. And I would just, because I kind of like to do back of the napkin math because it helps me figure out how to invest my time, I would think about my revenue streams for both. So what is my investment going to need to be in order to retain those clients, and what am I going to get back? Because that is going to help me figure out how much I have either to spend to acquire new people or to spend to acquire new people, or how much I'm going to have to invest to acquire new people in order to retain them. And like this is an ecosystem. Again, these things are not like on opposite ends. So when you have a new customer come in, brand new customer, you're acquiring them, that's growth. Then they become your customer and they stay with you. Then you're going to focus on retaining them, right? So you can do both at the same time. And maybe what's best for you right now is to think about growth, because that's the first step you need to take. And then to not forget about retention, right? To think about that customer life cycle and be like, all right, once I help service their needs, how am I going to continue to show up for them and retain them and offer them value in the long term? So you can think about it however you want. I think that's probably how I'd approach it. Lauren, what's your favorite platform? Oh my God, our systems for organizing goals and strategies for the new year. Lauren, it's Notion. Can I just show you this Notion template? Because it is, sorry, humor me, but it is so good. And I'm really excited about it, which is why I can't wait for this class. And I hope that you can join us. You get this Notion template for free. And I am not an organized person. So I really need systems that help me stay organized. I'm all water. I'm a Pisces Sun, Cancer, Rising, Scorpio, Moon. But I do have a Capricorn, Saturn, which I think saves me. So I need something that's like easy, that is always going to keep me organized. My desk even is like kind of a mess, but I'm getting better. I live with a Virgo, so he would divorce me if I was any messier. So this is what I use. I use Notion, and it looks like this. It's kind of like Google Docs, but on steroids. And this is what we're giving out in class on Thursday. I'll even just like drop the link here, but I think it will make more sense if you come to class, because it just will make more sense because I'll walk you through it. But basically, I set up your goals. I would set up my goals this way. My own dashboard looks a little bit like this. Basically, you write out your goals and what they look like, and then you can open them up and see them and see what's inside of them and what you need. And then you have a little project plan. So I really like to use this version of the project plan, where it looks like this, where I can like drop things underneath wherever they're at. And then all of this is connected in this spreadsheet here. So you can see your quarterly goals, all your quarterly goals. We didn't write any, I didn't do any for quarter 3 or quarter 4 yet. These are just examples. And then it drops in your quarterly project plan over here. So you see everything that you're working on and what you need to focus on. We've got our little inner tools list, which is Amanda's jam, of all the ways that you kind of like can help yourself get unstuck, and the tools that you have on your own deck. It's kind of like a spiritual encyclopedia. And then you've got your own calendar. And then on my personal Notion, which I'm not going to show you, I have Monday Hour 1 at the bottom. So I have something that helps me. There's a podcast episode on it if you want to go listen on Monday Hour 1. If plugging the podcast on the 12th house. And basically it's an organization, a board where every day, Monday through Sunday, I can drop different tasks in, and it helps me just stay focused and stay on task. So I really like Notion. It's very simple and beautiful to me. And I think aesthetics matter and keep me in, like, you know, I've never been able to stick to productivity software. I like Trello. I've tried Asana. I've tried all the things, ClickUp, and Notion's really the only thing that's stuck with me. So I like that. And I also used to be like a paper planner person. So I think it just depends on you and your things. Do you have tips for being productive and getting everything done if you want to do while still resting and taking time off? Yeah, cut 50% of your list off and don't do it, and just do the things that Christina's like, that's not the answer. But really it's like listening, you know, go read the book Essentialism or listen to it on audiobook if you're busy. It's like getting super clear on what's important, because like 75% of what we think is important is not. And what are the main tasks that you need to accomplish? So North Noders, you'll get my template for day to day, but I ask myself every day, what's the one big thing? What's the one big thing I need to accomplish today? Today it was teaching this class. So I made it through, so I can check that off the list, right? Because honestly, like, all you need for the day to feel good, to feel successful, usually is to accomplish one big thing. And that one big thing is going to be the thing that moves the needle. And it's not always big. It's not always giving a presentation. Sometimes it's sending an email to a person who you're pitching yourself to and you're really fucking scared to do it. Sometimes it's researching virtual assistants because you really need help. Sometimes it's going through your books and, like, you know, giving yourself a little audit. But getting that one big thing done, and just knowing what your focus is going to be that day, that helps you move the needle in your other goals that are more long-term or like big vision. I find that that really helps me not feel depressed at the end of the day when I haven't done everything that I wanted to do, because inevitably I don't get everything done that I want to do. I love to just set myself up for failure in that way. So one big thing that really helps. And also I think having a really hard deadline for when you stop working. So like when I start cooking dinner, I don't look at my computer after that, because like what am I going to do? I'm not good after 5 p.m. I'm just not. Like, I know that about myself. I like to think I am, but I'm not. So like, why even bother wasting my time trying to be better than I am? Like, I should just own it and be like, I'm going to go make my pasta sauce now and do what I can do there and drink some wine. And then I'll come back to this in the morning when I'm fresh and I can actually accomplish more and more time in less time. I really like the suggestion of focusing on each pillar according to the seasons. Which season is best for each pillar? I think that ideally you want to be thinking about all of them at the same time. And it depends on your business. So if you have a business that's focused on helping busy moms, probably not the best time for you to do something would be in the summer when your busy moms are home with their kids, or like in the middle of quarantine, right? Maybe the best time would be like in the fall or at the beginning of the new year to like worry about growing or putting out a product or putting out a service. So I think it depends on your business, but yeah, also, I don't know, you should test it and try it and let me know what you think, because this is just what my experience is in my business and the businesses I've helped. But that doesn't mean I know everything. So I would love to see what it would look like if you maybe focus on one pillar for a quarter. I'm sure that if you prioritized one pillar per quarter, you didn't forget about all the other pillars, but you just prioritized one, you would really see fantastic results. So I would go with your gut. You probably know what's right for you better than I do. Thanks, Susan, for thinking I'm productive. That makes the perfectionist in me very happy. You say your helpers only work part-time. They do. I'd love to learn more about how to hire help. I'm definitely not an expert in this because I want to have a really small team, and I have a really small team. So, and I'm notoriously bad at asking for help, but I think knowing where you need help, and also that you can do anything, but you can't do everything, and you shouldn't do everything in your business. So what are the things that only you can do, really? Like, I think anyone can probably post on Instagram for me. I don't think I probably need to do that anymore, right? But can anyone vision what the business is going to look like in the next 10 years? No, only I can do that. Like, I can have a little bit of help, but I'm the one who's holding that vision. So figuring out what are the things that you can do that like no one else can do, and humbling yourself a little bit and noticing the things that you definitely could hire out and have someone else take off your hands, and then creating standard operating procedures for those things. So the way that they get done. And you can do this so simply. We actually have a great module in the North Node on this because we talked about standard operating procedures, which sounds like really businessy, but actually just means like, what's the ritual for that practice? You can think of it that way. So what's the ritual for the practice of posting on social media for you? Oh, you probably like go and you think about what your users need, then you go make the graphic, then you go post it, then you go share it on the stories, right? Then you go tag someone in it, right? That's something that you could teach someone how to do just by like even voice memoing that, right? Here's how I do this thing, or like recording your screen on Loom and then having someone else help you do that and say, watch this, you're going to figure it out, and then giving them grace to like pick it up and learn how to do it and do it their own way. I think that really helps. I also really recommend something called the Kolbe A test, because I find it so helpful when working with other people. I have a mini episode coming out with Thais on the podcast this week, and she jokes about how she didn't give a shit about her birth time, like knowing her natal chart or her human design. And I was like, I need to know your birth time when I hired her. And she's like, you're fucking crazy. But we both did the Kolbe A test, which is this cool test that tells you about your work style. And so my whole team has taken this test, and something that we know about my team in general is that we like to work fast and we're not great at checking our work. And that is what this Kolbe A test says about us. So that means no shade, like that is who we are. It doesn't make us bad at our jobs. It just means that we as a team, we talk about a lot. Okay, how can we slow down? How can we make this a more thoughtful process? How can we make sure that there are no mistakes? How can we have a process of people checking each other's work so that we're all helping each other? Because this isn't just like a one person thing. There's another thing on the Kolbe A test that's like, some people really love like to go really deeply into detail, and they need you to tell them detail by detail by detail how to do something. Other people need like super high level, 2 seconds, and then like they'll figure it out. And so 2 people on my team are like, give me all the details, all of them. And me and Thais are like, say less. Like, I don't want to have an hour-long meeting. Just tell me what you need, or make it an email. And so knowing that about ourselves helps us not get frustrated with each other and see each other's learning and working styles, and also helps us tailor our communication styles for each other. So I find that to be really helpful. Okay, what's the Thursday class that will go over this? Oh, let me drop the link. It's going to be a little bit similar to this class, but I think, Amanda and I are so different, and I love her. We've been really good friends for like 4 years, and she's a genius creative director, but the class is here. So we're going to be coming together to like talk about having a creative and abundant year. She's like all about helping people be more thoughtful in their creation process and like embodied. She's a manifestor. I'm a projector. She's like so calm. I say like the fuck word all the time. It's going to be great. We're very different, but it's going to be fun. And we're just going to talk about like, how are you in creation mode and creating art in what you do? Because that's what your business is. Like you're creating art, you're creating like work. Even the way that you tailor and craft your services, like that is so much. That is like it's very feminine energy, I think. So we're gonna talk about that, and also like how to marry that creative process, which can be very internal, with something that actually earns you money, that can be a business, and how do we marry those two things together? Okay. All right, I'm going up, up, up. I'll drop the Notion template into the chat in just a second at the end of this class. How do you, okay, let me go up. Oh yeah, Taryn, random question about the North Node. Does all the content stay up each year? Yes, all the content stays up forever. So if you join the North Node in December, or if you join the North Node next July, because we only open it twice a year, you'll have 18 months of content to look at. And we're actually, like, it's a little overwhelming, to be honest with you. There's a ton of content in there. So we're creating a matrix, a really cool solution to help you search for what you're looking for, and then find the content that you need. So if you're like, I need help with growth, you'll be able to go and find that and then see all the content that we've made around growth and like the tools, and it's going to be great. So yes, you get all of it. Okay. Part of my retention strategy is starting a podcast. What platform do you use to support the 12th house? Anchor. We use Anchor and we love it. And we also have a really great podcast editor. If you need a podcast editor, his name is Brian. I think he thinks we're weird, but I also think we might be turning him into a witch. So he's great. If you want Brian's information, just let me know. Okay. Casey, what wisdom do you have for HT non-specific manifestors when it comes to planning? I don't know what that, I think that I'm that. I think that I'm that, but I don't know. I think I'm that one. I think I'm the non-specific. So I don't know if I can give you helpful advice because I just do my thing, but I have never been good at like SMART goals. So generally I'll have like a goal, right? Let's say like we're opening the doors to the North Node, right? So that's perfect because that's something that's like very tangible, that's in front of us. So I have a goal for how many people I want to get in the North Node, right? And like my team knows what that goal is. I know what that goal is. And I've like created all this shit to make sure that that happens. And it might not. Like it might not happen, and that's okay. And like what's underneath that for me? Like I put a number on it, right? I want to get X number of people, but like what's actually there? Like what's the important part? I want to feel like we are overflowing with amazing people who get each other. And like also something that's really important for us is that we get enough people to offer scholarship and like support. So thinking about that and making sure that we've got all of that, and that we're really like, the North Node is so amazing. So how can we like speak to it and let the work speak for itself? So I kind of like fake it. I like create a number goal, and then I'm like, but what does it mean? What does it feel like to me? Like, what does that represent? And that kind of helps me because sometimes I like surpass it, and sometimes I fall on my face and I'm like, whoa, that was crazy. I totally thought that was going to go in one direction and went in another direction, but there's always like a gift there. And then I always do a post-mortem on a goal or on something, like especially a project, where we look at what went well and what didn't go well, and like supposedly fun things we're never going to do again. Like, what are we never going to fucking do again because it sucked ass? Or maybe like, what did we learn that was very surprising that we need to remember next time because we always forgot? So I don't think that answered your question, Casey. I'm sorry, but maybe it's just like having some flexibility around what you create for yourself. Oh my God, you guys, my armpits are sweating so much. It's bananas. Okay, how can you encourage your users using your referral program? Both are already getting a percentage, but not necessarily seem to be sharing. Good question. I think it depends on what it is that you're offering. So if you're offering a service, that's one thing. If you're offering like a service that feels not embarrassing, but like personal or intimate, that is also something completely different. That's probably like, well, I don't think that's fair. I totally would like blast my gyno on Instagram if they let me. But like what else? What would be important? Nah, I'm kind of an open book. This isn't fair. But like maybe if you're like a couples therapist, right? That might be embarrassing to share with other people, that you don't want to be just like sending out a random email to your friends. It might be more specific when someone explains that they have that problem, that then someone finally like, then I'm able to offer up, oh, you're having a problem in your relationship or you're having a problem connecting. I have an awesome couples therapist. You should totally go see them. But that might not be information that I volunteer right off the bat. So I would ask yourself, like, first off, is my consumer really clear on what my offering is? And what is the problem that I solve for them that they can identify in other people? Is it easy for them to identify in other people? Or is it something that is intimate and that is vulnerable and that people will keep close to the chest? If so, then your referral program is going to look a little bit different. It also depends on how you frame it. So if you frame it as like something that's really special, that like you want to give the most care and attention and a reward to your users, to the people that work with you, and really like highlight them and elevate them and have and enroll them in helping you grow your business and helping more people. That's such a different energy to me than being like, can you please send this referral? Not that you're doing this at all, Christina, but like, can you please send this referral link to as many people as possible? They're so different, right? So it might be in the framing of, how can I make someone feel like an early adopter, like they're special, like they're in like a secret club or society, like they have special access and that they are VIP and they want to bring other people in with them to share this experience. If that works for whatever it is that you offer. Also, like double incentivization. So incentivizing the referrer and the referee. So if you refer someone to do an Akashic record session with me, you unlock this special offering that I only offer my referral clients that you cannot get off the books, like, off menu. And the person that you refer will get $30 off their session or something like that. So I think there are lots of ways to go about doing it. And you just have to figure out what works best for you. And also ask yourself, what's your buying personality? And when have you used a referral program? And what kept you from using one? Because I'm sure that there are many that you haven't used. And so what feels in alignment with you? What would you do? That can be very helpful. I hope that answers your question, Christina. I know it's so late for you, so thanks for staying up with us. Okay. Carly, I love the idea of retention practices. Do you or anyone here have daily retention practices you could share as ideas? Oh yeah, y'all pop into the chat and tell Carly what is up. But Carly, do you mean like rest practices or retention? And I mean, like, okay, let me rattle some off the top of my head. I'm going to answer my own question. Rest practices would be like schedule and rest, schedule and play. I wish I could show you my own template, my own dashboard right now, but it's got some top secret information on there. I have my like daily to-dos and playing the piano in the middle of the day. I always take a break to play piano in the middle of the day. And I pretty much always take like an afternoon, either coffee break or tea break, where I just like eat some chocolate and drink some tea. Those are non-negotiables. Those are my retention practices. Also, maybe it's like I reach out to one customer every single day and say thank you, or I check in with them, or I make sure that I reply to all my DMs on Instagram, as silly as that might sound. Maybe your retention practices look like doing a customer call once a week to learn a little bit more about what your customer needs and where they're at and how you could continue to support them in the long term. But I'm sure there are some geniuses on this call, so I'm sure that they can pop some good answers into the chat. Karen, I don't have trouble retaining clients. Of course you don't, but I really want to hire and train more people to have a greater impact. Do you have any advice on how to attract the right people for my team? I think that, Karen, you're not going to have any problem with this, just knowing you personally. But being explicit about what your values are in your company materials and on your website, I think makes a really big difference in allowing people to know if they're safe to join you and what they can expect from you. I think that doing interviews, when you do interviews and when you write job descriptions, the language that you use, and matters. If you want to have a really co-create, it depends on who you want on your team. If you want a really co-creative team, like say that, you know, this role requires someone who's an innovative thinker, who's going to be able to hold their own and be self-managed and have lots of freedom, and also have a great responsibility and be the CEO of their area of the business. If that's important to you, maybe it's more important to you that they just are really amazing at the work that they're paid to do, and that you're going to be the innovator and the creator, in which case say like, you are going to be the rock star who helps with our customer service, and we'll give you all the support you need to just be yourself and be like warm and embracing and like, you know, accessible and inclusive in the way that you speak to people. So I think that job descriptions can make a really big difference. And also when you're hiring, ask people who you respect and admire to, if they know anyone in their industry or anyone in their sort of circle who could fit the bill for what you're looking for. And hire slow, fire fast. So take your time to hire people. And when you realize that they're not right for you, fire them. But save both of you, because you're wasting their life if they're not able to like shine and be amazing at their role, because they're inevitably, we're all amazing individuals. We all have gifts and talents, and we should be in jobs that allow us to shine. I also would recommend, I'm certainly not a perfect boss, but sitting down with anyone that you hire right when you hire them and asking them what their life goals are and what it is that they want to get out of their experience working with you, either as like skills or experience or whatever it might be. Because I don't know, I just think that we have a short period of time together when we work together. Like I think that generally like 2 years is great. If you can have someone work with you for 2 years, that's a long time. And they are very, very likely on to like bigger and better and greater things, as they should be. And just like, I don't know, I think it's helpful from the jump to be like, we're here to help each other grow. I want to help you grow as a person and give you all the skills and tools that you need to do what you want to do with your life that I can offer you. And you're here to help me grow and become a better boss or build this business together. And when we're not adding value to each other's lives anymore, in the ways that we need, then beautiful. Then this relationship will change and we'll just become friends as opposed to coworkers. So I think that helps also to just like to care about someone's life and be able to find ways to continue to support them as an individual and help them grow, so that when they go into the next thing, they feel really good. But I could be totally wrong about that. I don't know. I mean, I've been a really shitty manager in the past in my early 20s. So I'm trying to be a good manager. And I think that's one of the best things that we've been able to do at Holisticism. Could you provide goal examples for 3 goals in each pillar at the end of the next class? Yeah, I can do that, Kim, for sure. Okay. All right, yeah. All right. This question might be from last time, but what's the best way to figure out your energy blueprint? I would say just noticing what your energy looks like and where you feel like you can just like jam and go and you're creative and feeling amazing. And then when you're feeling depleted or like you need to rest. I used the example last week of my partner who is a manifesting generator who's like on for 45 minutes and then he's like off for 45 minutes. Like, I don't even know what he does. And then he's like on and he's like laser focused, and I'm the opposite. So we like don't work very well together because he'll pop into my office and be like, you want to go for a bike ride? You want to go skateboarding? Do you want to have a coffee break? And I'm like, I'm working, because I'm the type of person that needs to like be immersed for like 2 or 3 days. And then I have a couple of days off because that's just how I work best. So I would just notice for yourself. One person on my team has a month long on and off where she's like super dialed for a month. And then she needs sort of like a month to relax and breathe and be a little bit more flexible. All right. When does it open? I think you're talking about the North Node. It opens on December 28th. December, not going backwards in time. Okay. Oh, thanks, Susan. For sure. Okay, cool. How do you differentiate between something like IWA and PCCL from a membership? Like, how do you still get people to pay higher price courses when you have a lower price membership? That's a good question. We talk about it in great depth in PCCL, but a membership, the way that I view the North Node is as implementation and community support. And that's a membership, and that's a community that people pay for. And they pay for it's different. It's a different relationship to the content, because they're not just like going and binging the content. At least I don't think they are. Like, you guys let me know. But when you take a course or you're immersed in a process or even a workshop like this, you're learning a bunch of things at once, right? You're like, okay, I'm getting all this stuff, and now I'm going to go experiment with it and try it. And I guarantee you that you're going to try some of the things that we talked about today, and you're gonna be like, wait, I need help. Or like, wait, I need someone to answer this question for me. And I'll be there, so don't worry about it. But there are other things in our business ongoing where we need extra support, because we're experimenting and we're innovating and we're evolving and we're running into problems that we never thought we would have as problems when we're creators and leaders. And so having a supportive team that you can sort of drop into when you need to and ask questions about implementation and how to do it and how to apply the sort of like theoretical stuff that you've learned and how to use it practically in your life is what can be really great for something like a membership that's ongoing, because it's really more about getting that thing in practice and learning new stuff along the way. We create a shit ton of content for the North Node every month where we're teaching you new skills, but sort of like, yeah, it's about implementation, right? Like, for example, this month we talked about your psychic abilities and tuning into your own psychic and intuitive, capabilities. Same word as abilities, basically. But we use that through the frame of your own intuition and like practicing that, as well as how do you run Facebook ads, and like how do you use your intuition and understanding what people need in order to run ads if you choose to run ads. And like, even like, well, is that something that aligns with you if you're running an intuitive business? Why or why not? Which isn't something that I would necessarily like teach an entire course on. But when we're thinking about the pillars of intuitive business and what we've talked about in things like IWA and PCCL, then that starts to make sense. We've got this shared language and library of information. So I hope that answers your question, Christina. Alrighty. Okay, cool. I think that's all. I think that's all I'm seeing. Oh, yes. I'm going to drop, good question, Tara, and I'm going to drop the Notion doc in here. And I haven't actually, I hope Amanda doesn't get mad because I haven't published it yet. But what you're going to do is you're going to make a duplicate of it. And it's on my list today at some point to make a video walking you through the template. So I'll show you how to use it, because it's a little overwhelming, I think, if you've never used Notion before, but it's actually quite simple, I promise you. So it's all good. And if you're in the North Node, you'll get another version of this sort of template. It's great. It's just, it's great if this works for your brain. If it doesn't work for your brain, that's okay too. But the way that you're going to do it is download Notion if you don't already have it, and then just make a duplicate of this document. And I think I need to, yeah, okay, cool. You shouldn't be able to edit it, so please don't edit it. But make a duplicate and I will add the video. I'll try to do it actually right now. So if any of you want to take a look and start to use this, you can. Okay, cool. Are there any more questions before we go? I thought I was going to end on time today. No, that's okay. I love just hanging out with you. If I hang out with you, that means that I get to stay in my house. And just kidding. I just love seeing you guys. So my pleasure. Thanks for coming here. This was so fun. I've got one last class next week on impact. And it's going to be a little different. I don't know if you noticed, but I use the exact same formula for the last couple of weeks. And next week will be different because we're talking about impact and it's just different. So if you want to come and talk about that stuff and share and work on goals together, that'll be great. North Noders, we are workshopping goals on Friday for 2021. So Yeah, Jamie's like, yes. So that will be like our more creative process. There'll be more writing, more time to think, and like playing off each other. So it'll be co-creative. So take some time if you're in North Node to like marinate on what we've talked about over the last couple of weeks, and start specking out those goals. I'll have a Notion template for you. Ugh, it'll be exciting. You can even merge this template with the one that I just shared with you from Amanda. All right, you all, this was super fun. I love you. I think you're the best. Stay sexy out there. Big heart. Thank you, Sharona. And I'll see you on the internet. Okay. Bye. See ya.